Hello, everyone, and welcome to Technology Tuesday, hosted by Out of the Box Technology. We are excited to bring you these free webinars featuring third-party apps, tips and tricks from in and outside of QuickBooks, and hot topics that our industry is encountering. My name is Jennifer Darachuk, and I will be your moderator today. I work in business development and customer relations here at Out of the Box Technology, and I'm really excited to be hosting these sessions each and every month. A little bit about Out of the Box Technology, if you aren't familiar. We are a firm that does QuickBooks training, integration, hosting, and support. We also specialize in bookkeeping services for franchises, franchisees, franchisors, or even just small businesses. We also have a great team of developers that do website design, custom app development, and data migrations. We have two really exciting products that we're really proud of. The first is our event app that can take any event that you have and just elevate it to the next level. Also, Recur 360 is an app that Intuit named one of the top 10 best new apps for 2017. That's an advanced solution for collecting payments, collections, and invoices. Today, I'm really excited to have Chad by my side on this presentation. He's our Director of IT here at Out of the Box Technology, and he is going to take you into Outlook. Outlook is a huge email client this day and age, and a lot of the features of it are a little bit unknown to most of us who just go in, check our email, and get out. So, Chad, I'm really excited that you're joining us today to walk us through this tool, and if there's any great features of it that you want to explain. Anyone who is on the line, if you have specific questions or specific pain points within Outlook, do use the chat function on your GoToWebinar control panel and send those over to me, and we'll make sure that Chad addresses those. So at this time, Chad, I'm going to hand it over to you to get us started.
Thanks, Jennifer. Appreciate it. Yep, so we will start. Can you see my screen?
Yeah,
looks like it's there. Okay. All right, so as you know, we are QuickBooks consultants, and with QuickBooks, you can actually use Outlook as a tool to send out invoices along with just your daily emailing. Today, we're going to kind of just cover 10 to 15 different tricks and tips on how to use Outlook. And I will start by even just showing you a basic setup on how to create an Outlook profile with your Microsoft account. If you're an Office 365 user, it's a pretty easy process. If you use anything outside that, like any type of free mail with like Google or Yahoo or anything like that, those are typically SMTP or IMAP accounts, which require a little bit more to set up. Nothing crazy, just a little more in its process. Today, I'm just going to cover the Microsoft Exchange Office 365 setup. So firstly, we're going to open Outlook. And when we open Outlook, the first thing you'll see is it's going to ask you for a profile name. Sometimes Outlook will even just ask you, if there wasn't a previous profile, the account name, the name of the account or the email address. In this case, I'm just going to call this demo today for demo purposes. And Outlook is going to try to search for any previous accounts that may have attached to this profile previously. When it comes up, it will display an email address. Email addresses for Office 365 are both a username and an email address. That's how it authenticates back to Office 365 Exchange to set up Outlook profile. So it wants to connect to my account, but for today, we're going to use the demo account. And we're going to hit connect. Again, this is for Office 365 or Microsoft Exchange users. Outlook is then going to go out on to the web and do a search for this account to see if it's an Office 365 account, which it did. A new feature with Outlook today is it actually will ask you if you want to set up your mobile phone too. If we were going to do a mobile phone setup and we leave this checked and hit done, a website will come up and it will ask for your phone number. When you type in your phone number, it's going to send you a link via text message. And inside that link, once you connect or hit that link, it will then set up your email inside your mobile device, whether it be an iPhone or an Android. Also down there below, it was asking if I wanted to set up an additional account, which you can have more than one profile in Outlook. Now, for those that are seasoned Outlook users and are aware of that, great. If you weren't aware, you can have more than one email profile using Outlook 2016. Older versions would only allow you to have one of each type of account, so one SMTP account, one Exchange, and so forth. If you're not familiar with SMTP or Exchange, it's a little more in-depth conversation, maybe for another day, but for now, we'll just stick to Microsoft Office 365 Exchange. So with today, now that we have our profile set up, inside here, there are different ways to use Outlook. There's the basic ways of just being familiar with your home tab here, where you can send out new email by simply just clicking new mail. One of my favorite features inside Outlook that was added in Outlook 2013 is the reply tab is inside the corresponding email. So you can simply just hit reply and it will stay in your view screen that you can then reply to that email. In previous versions, it didn't have that. You can also use the pop-out feature for more of a familiar look, and then it will pop out the email, and then you can start writing in what you wanted to say. The calendar function, there's a lot of ways to use this. So for an example, if somebody had sent you, or a partner, or somebody in your business, or even a client sent you an email where they wanted to set up a date for a training or a luncheon or a conference, if that information is inside the email, you can simply drag and drop that email to your calendar, and then that will pop up a calendar invite. Because I don't have any dates in here, it will want a more specific date range because I don't have that already in there. If the dates were already set, it would automatically populate the dates of the conference that you're being invited to, or luncheon, or whatever it may be. And here, if those dates aren't set, but you would like to have that part of your email, you can simply just set the dates that you want and the time and hit save and close. And then when you go to your calendar tab and you go for the 26th, you'll see that test is there, and this is based off the name of the email. Another feature inside Outlook that's inside of a new email, we'll just stick with a new email, is the ability to have what is called the autocomplete feature. The autocomplete feature is any email that you may have sent in the past that you had sent to. Outlook will then cache that information in, and it becomes an email address that you can then use going forward by just simply either hitting the letter C for my name, or any letter really, and it will come up with a list of other emails that you've sent to, allowing you to choose that. It's a great feature. However, some of the issues we've had with it is that if you migrate to a different mailing platform, sometimes this feature doesn't go with, or it's difficult to make it come with you from email to email if you're moving from Exchange to Gmail and so forth. My suggestion would be to add these into your contacts, or there's another feature where you could type out an email, and when you type in the email, you can hit Control-K, and that will also cache it in, giving you the option of having that become a contact. So then it becomes part of your contacts going forward. That way you don't have to worry about losing that email address if you ever end up moving off of it. It'll be part of your contacts, which thus most IT professionals will be able to migrate your contacts with you to your next email platform. So the next thing I want to cover here too with Outlook is the view settings. Now inside here, there is a tab that has a bunch of different options within the view. Everybody has their own preference on how they want to view their email. There is no right or wrong when it comes to how you like to see your email. View settings are simply up to the person using that mail. There are 3 sections to Outlook. You have the navigation pane, which is where you see the demo to OTB technology. You have the message pane, which is where the email comes into, and then you have the reading pane. All of these can be customized to your liking. For example, up here you have the reading pane. If you don't like the reading pane to be to the right, you can change it to the bottom. Everything's still the same. You still have your navigation, message, and reading panes, but now the reading pane's on the bottom. If you're the type of user that doesn't like to have any type of reading pane at all, you'd like to have Outlook stretched out where you can see everything, you can then turn it off. My preference is to have it on the right because I like to be able to see the email in its fullest, that it goes straight down and I don't have to try to scroll too much to read the entire email. I do enjoy the reading pane being on the right side. You can also change the view settings here under the change view tab or button. You can compact it down. You can ask it to be in a single view, which makes the message pane a little smaller. Or you can change it to a preview, where then it turns off automatically the reading pane and gives you a little bit more to see of the email inside the message pane. You can also customize your view settings. If you go into the view settings here where you've got the gears, you can go into each one of these descriptions and you can change how you want your email to look. You can simply click inside. You can set up filters. Each filters have more in-depth things that you can choose from. Some things that you guys can play with on your time when you want to look at it and see what works best for you. But this is a good place to go when going inside and wanting to change your view settings. For me, I usually like the defaults. I find Outlook is usually pretty well set up right out the box, but some might have different preferences than others. You can also have show as conversation. Conversation views will compact all your emails. So if I had more conversations dealing with this test email, all of that email will show up under this subject. An arrow will appear here that you can click on and it will show you all the correspondence of that email inside conversation. If you have more than one email address that's attached to your profile, it'll ask you, like it did for me, do you want to do this for all mailboxes or just this folder? If you say all mailboxes, it will also do every folder inside the sent items, your junk mail, deleted, and so forth. And that's just a rough going over the view tab. We can also get onto back to the home tab here. Now, in today's age, we are dealing with a lot of junk mail. Junk emails coming in constantly. In particular, with Office 365 users, email is coming in that says, you've received the document. Please click on this document to see what so-and-so had sent to you. Sometimes this email is going to come in and it's going to look like it's come from a legitimate person that you know inside your contacts. When you click inside that link, it's going to redirect you to Office 365, Microsoft OneDrive, or something to that nature. It's going to then ask you to sign into your account. When you do that in the back end, a user or a hacker is sitting in the background waiting to capture your email address and password so that they can hack your mail and start sending out messages to all your contacts to receive money. They'll ask for credit card information, ACH, whatever they can get their hands on. So if you know you see something like that and you want it to continue or you want it to stop right away, you can simply right click on your email and tell it to go to junk and block the sender. Doing so will block the sender, and then it will move, although I am a trusted sender because this is inside our organization. If it is not a trusted sender for you, it will go inside your junk mail. And then going forward, any person or any type of email that isn't trusted will then, from that sender, will then be sent to junk. Now, unfortunately for those hackers are constantly changing their domain names. So they are constantly sending out emails from different domains, different contacts. So they might come in quite a bit. And as I said, sometimes they might even come in from a trusted user, as that trusted user may have gotten hacked themselves. And at which point you would probably want to reach out to that user and let them know. However, if you don't know who they are, it's best to use that feature to block them right away, in case you can't get in touch with your IT person to set up any kind of thresholds or filtering inside Exchange to stop those emails from coming in. Another feature inside Outlook is when you first set up a profile, the only fields that you really get to see are the to field and the carbon copy. Now, a lot of users sometimes like to blind carbon copy their email, but I've had questions in the past on why they're not able to get the blind carbon copy. If you find yourself in that situation, you can click on the Insert tab here, or is it under the Options tab? Under Options, they move. Under the Options tab, you can click on Blind Carbon Copy, and it will add that field, allowing you to blind carbon copy, which is to either copy yourself or another employee or another user that you know, that only the correspondence inside that you want to see part of the reply, their email address to show up, but anybody that's blind, their email address does not show up, but they still receive the email. Also, while we're in the Options tab, you can also send out, you can use a voting button. Voting buttons are if you're trying to get something organized and you would like to get a vote on what people like, you can put some options in there, create the voting button, set up some fields inside there to say approved or reject, yes or no, yes, no, or maybe, or you can customize it. When you customize it, you can have certain reply tos to certain people that you want to see that email. The voting button isn't something I normally use, but I know that if you're trying to organize a picnic or whatever it may be, the voting tool is a good way of getting information back on what other people like or want to have for whatever you're trying to organize. At least that way you can get a head count or figure out what everybody's into.
Chad, there's
also request.
Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
There's a question about the voting buttons. So
yeah.
Do the people who are receiving the email that have the voting buttons included have to be using Outlook, or if you send to someone in Gmail or Yahoo or something, will the interface there be the same? Like, how would they see it?
It'll most likely be a link inside the email if it goes to Gmail, or if they're using Hotmail or Outlook.com. If you click inside there, then it gives you the option to vote, and then it will send it back. The interface should be similar to what it would look like inside Outlook. This isn't restricted down to just Outlook users.
Okay, great, thanks.
And you have the request to get a read receipt. If you want to know if somebody's actually seen your email, and you check this box here before sending out the email, making sure that you know that you've received, or that person has read and received your email. Now, on that end of it, the person that received the email also has the ability not to send back the read receipt if they don't want to. However, at least you sent it out, and if they accepted the read receipt, then you can see that they've read your email. There's also a delay of delivery. If you click here, you can actually set inside the fields if you want to delay the email being sent. You can put in the person that you want to send it to, the date that you want to send it, and the time that you want it to be sent out. Once you've filled in all this information, you hit close, you put in the subject line of what you want and the person that you want to send it to, and whatever it may be that you want the information to be sent. When you hit the send button on a delay, let's say 5 o'clock, and you hit send, that email will sit in the outbox until 5 o'clock today when it needs to be sent out. This is a good tool to use if you're trying to send out mass email, but you want to send it out at a certain time and you may not be at your desk. So if you want a lot of people to get a lot of information and you want to send it out as a timed email, you can set up a delay say what time you want, put in all the email addresses that you want to see it. And if you have to walk away for the day, then you can walk away and Outlook will take care of the rest. Now, the next functionality, and this is one I get a lot of questions on in our IT department, is the search functionality. Now, up here you have the search bar, where if you wanted to search for a particular email from a particular person, you can actually hit that email address. For example, since I'm already in here, I just type my name and hit search. Obviously, I'm going to show up because I'm the only one in there currently. It will also say it's going to do the current mailbox, which means it's searching every folder that's inside Outlook. You can also customize to say to do only the current folder so that it will only search the inbox. In doing so, the search tab will open up. You can also go in and check your indexing status. And the purpose of the indexing is that Outlook is indexing all the email that you receive, putting it in a particular order that you may want it. You may want to see it by date. Maybe you want to see your email by alphabetical order, whatever it is. Outlook is going to index that for you. Indexing also helps cache the email that's inside Outlook in your inbox so that it can immediately pull up any search item that you might be looking for. Now, if you're an experienced Outlook user, some of you may already know that doesn't always work out as I say it does. Sometimes it does take a long while for Outlook to do a search, or sometimes when you're doing a particular search, it doesn't find it at all. That's where we have to re-index the email. And if re-indexing doesn't work, then sometimes I have to go through and delete the email profile and recreate it and let email resync into Outlook and then try to do the search again. But the first place I'm going to go if searching isn't working is re-indexing all the mail inside Outlook. And typically re-indexing does fix it and allows the search functionality to work again. You can also go in and look at your most recent searches. If you need to go back quickly and find a search that you've already done, you can customize it for this week in a category that you might be looking for if you set up categories inside Outlook. And to briefly go over any kind of categories, internally, we set up categories because we have a shared mailbox. And within a shared mailbox and multiple people looking at it, sometimes we need to know who needs to see what mail. You can go in and set up categories for a shared mailbox and put a particular name next to each color. And then whenever that email comes in, you can actually right-click, hit a category, and mark it as orange, give it a name, and hit yes. So then when it's orange, it's going to be assigned or look like it's for Chad, myself, in a shared mailbox so that I know that this email was addressed to me and that I need to be looking at it, that it grabs my attention as long as I know that that category is set for me. You can also set up categories for if you're a single user and you're not sharing a mailbox and you have particular clients that might email you all the time that have specific items that you really need to take a look at. You can set up warning categories in red, letting yourself know it's a high priority, whatever it may be. Categories are a good way to set up prioritizing your email, if you will. You can also do follow-ups where you can flag the email. Flagging is something that we use internally with Out of the Box quite often. Besides using our CRM system for ticketing, a lot of our clients will also email us whenever there's issues, and we need to be able to answer those in a certain time frame. So if they email us the issue, we have this flag system that we've set up where we can say, we can customize, set a date, or we can set a reminder that we need to answer this in a certain time. Typically, I'll set mine for an hour. Within that hour, that will send me a message or an indicator will pop up in Outlook letting me know that I need to follow up with this email that it's been an hour long. And then I can go back and then make sure that the person that emailed me with the issue that I'm responding to right away. You can even set up a sound to have, if you're not looking directly at Outlook, that will beep or indicate almost like an alarm to let you know that you need to also reply to this mail.
Chad, question on the categories and the follow-up.
Sure.
Can you,
Okay.
like, let's say every time a certain customer emails, we know that it's going to be Chad that needs to follow up with them or handle that. Can you assign a category to automatically go to a certain customer, or every time this customer emails, they need to be contacted right away? So put this type of flag on it, or does it manually have to be done each time?
That's a great question. I would have to look into that further. With us here internally, we have several people monitoring one mailbox, so it's being done manually currently. So I haven't had to really worry about setting up a rule to automatically assign, if addressed to a particular person, to automatically be flagged or set a category to that user. I wouldn't doubt that Outlook has the ability to set up some type of rule that will allow you to automatically categorize it, but it would be something I'd have to look into and get back on that. Right now, we do it as a manual. So if another person that looks at our customer care happens to see it's addressed to me, they'll right-click and then categorize it for me. Or if I happen to see the same thing, I may do it as well. But because we have several people doing that all day long, there isn't any reason for automation. But if you only got one or two people and they may not always be looking at it, that's a great question, something I can look into.
Thank you.
But like I said, I wouldn't doubt there would be some kind of rule out there that allows you to auto categorize email. All right. And then one thing I wanted to cover before we get into questions was the compact of email. So over time, if you've been with your company for a while and you have a lot of email and it's just kind of piling up, Outlook actually has a feature to clean all that up. One of the biggest things we notice with email is that if you get a lot of email over time, Outlook tends to become corrupt. Sometimes we'll delete the Outlook profile, recreate it. That will help solve it, but it's only a Band-Aid. It only solves it for a temporary. So if you want more of a permanent fix and you want to be able to do this yourself without having to ask your IT person to help clean up your mail, you can go up to File and then go down to Account Settings and then hit on Account Settings. Inside Account Settings, this is going to show you your account. Your accounts have different tabs. The tab that we're going to be looking at is the data files. Inside the data files, you can highlight the data file location that you have set as default, which right now we only have the one. And once you highlight it as the default, it'll also show you that it's an online account, which in this case, it's being cashed in or it's being sent from Microsoft Office 365. And if you want to edit that, you can right-click on that location, or you can click on Settings. You can highlight, click Settings, go to Advanced, and then you can say Use Cache Exchange Mode, Outlook Data File Settings, and then you can hit Compact Now. Now, the reason it isn't showing that for me right now, the way I have Outlook set up, because I'm an Office 365 user, is that my email is being synced from online. It's kind of like it's being streamed down from Microsoft Office 365 right into Outlook. So I don't have an Outlook data file. This is more if you have cache exchange mode enabled in Outlook. Due to you want Outlook to function a little faster, cache exchange mode is actually a good way to get email to function better. Or I shouldn't say function better, but function faster for you. However, this does tend to cause email to grow. It does sometimes cause issues where you have corrupt profiles. And as I was stating, this is where you can go to compact your email. When you hit Compact Now, it will give you a certain date range, certain type of email. It will get more in depth into what you want to get rid of or what you want to compact the email down to. If you have email that goes all the way back to 2010, and it's 2018, and you know for sure you're not going to look at any more email in 2010, you can compact that down. Now, the email will still be stored inside Microsoft Exchange. It doesn't go away. It's just compacting it out of Outlook to allow the Outlook profile to function faster and keeps everything clean, so you're not having a whole lot of email problems. With this, though, with Microsoft Office 365, if you're Office 365 users, with the online mode and essentially email streaming into Outlook, we're seeing less and less of us having to do the compact feature as we used to do a lot of in the past. But I wanted to go over this in case some users are still using either POP, SMTP, IMAP, or older versions of Microsoft Exchange. Although some of the older versions are no longer available or not compatible anymore. So most users are likely on Exchange 2016 and Microsoft Office 2016. So these are just a few of the tips and tricks that I wanted to go over today. I don't know that I've covered all, but I got through most of my list. But I wanted to take some time now to answer any questions about Microsoft Outlook that you might have that I can answer, or at least cover most questions. And so I can open the floor to that if Jennifer, if you want to relay some questions, if any.
Yeah, absolutely. We do have some here. And just a reminder, if you have thought of anything or anything's been pressing on your mind, feel free to type those in. So the first one we have is, can I connect Outlook to an Exchange mailbox without Auto-Discover?
So with Office 365, it depends. If you're not using Office 365, all you simply have to be able to do there is set up your Microsoft Exchange account using the server name and domain name. So it's whatever your server name, .domain name, .int, .com, whatever it may be inside your Microsoft Exchange server. And then after you've typed in your server information, you simply just need to type in your email address and password, and it won't necessarily use the auto-discover, but it will connect to that Microsoft Exchange server. Today, however, with the newer versions of Microsoft Exchange, most are already set up, especially inside your DNS settings from GoDaddy or whoever you might be using, that the default is auto-discover. But you don't have to if you don't want to. You can certainly type in that information manually. With Office 365, that's tougher. Each server within the Microsoft's organization for Office 365 is a long string of numbers and letters, and each one is different. And they're constantly moving your email from one Exchange server to another. So one week your server might be one name, and the next week it might be another because of redundancy. So if you're using Office 365, I would highly suggest going with the auto setup.
Great, thank you. The next question is, I currently use subfolders to organize my emails. Would you suggest the categorized colors over subfolders?
Subfolders are good. In fact, I use a lot of subfolders myself. Now, because we're using a demo account, there isn't a lot in here. I set this up today for this purpose. But since we're on that, and that was part of my list that I didn't cover, subfolders are part of the indexing. Your inbox is constantly being indexed. What isn't being indexed is any folder below the inbox. The inbox is on a constant index, and every folder that you create inside your inbox is also being indexed too. And if you're the type of person that gets a lot of email on a daily basis, you correspond with a lot of contacts, and you create a lot of folders, and you're putting them directly under the inbox, what will tend to happen over time is email is going to slow down because you're indexing a ton of mail. Again, I am a fan of folders. I would create a new folder directly into the account. So rather than right-clicking and saying new folder for the inbox, I recommend and highly suggest hitting new folder under the account itself and then calling it like archive or whatever you want to call it that you know. And thus, it will create a folder underneath the account and not inside the inbox, so it's not constantly being indexed, that you're not dealing with slower email issues. And then inside that folder, you can create a new folder or a subfolder to that one, and you can call it somebody by a contact. Now, I chose backup just simply because that's what I thought off the top of my head to kind of demo or demonstrate this, but you can call it whatever you like. Yes, there is already an archive folder that Office 365 provides. That's if you have an E3 license with Office 365, so it'll archive your email for you. You can certainly go through here, create new folders for this folder as well if you'd like. If you're not using that license or that version of Office 365, you can create your own archive folder and then set up any subfolder underneath it. My opinion as far as the categories, I feel like categories are more being used if you have multiple people viewing an email address or an email account that you're assigning it or showing that that person needs to see this email. I did know a lot of users that use the categories for just themselves, but they'll even categorize it and then put it in a subfolder, or they'll categorize it to let them know to move it into a subfolder later. So you could use both. You could certainly categorize things to not clutter your email with folders, but it's good to get email out of your inbox for that indexing purpose. Move it into a subfolder, move it into an archive folder that you've created, and then that way your email will function smoother. Again, don't try to create any subfolders underneath the inbox. The more folders and email you have under there, the longer it takes to index and the slower it might be for your email to function, especially at open up. When it opens up, it's indexing, and it might take forever for Outlook to actually come up and show you your inbox. Not to beat that to death, but that would be my suggestion for anyone that wants to create subfolders.
Thanks, Chad. And there's another question, kind of a follow-up to that, and I probably should have asked you this about a month ago when I did this myself, but the question is, I use a lot of subfolders as well. I currently have them under Inbox. Is there a way to move them without having to recreate them?
You can highlight all those folders and then move them directly into, now if you've got a lot, I understand this isn't easy to do. I had a particular client once have hundreds and hundreds of folders. I actually ended up highlighting 10 at a time and then moving those folders one by one. What she actually wanted me to do was create an archive folder or you know, a different subfolder, and then 10 by 10 move each one of those folders into that archive. It doesn't move, so you'll get a progress bar on your screen. It's going to show you a progress of how long it takes for that email to move. It can be time consuming. It can take a while. If you're Office 365 users, if you're familiar with Outlook Web App, which we may cover one of these days in another Tech Tuesday, but if you are familiar with Outlook Web App, I would highly suggest using Outlook Web App to move your mail. Through the web app, it's actually faster than using Outlook. It moves it quicker, and you don't have that progress bar delay where it takes hours and hours and hours to move your folder. If you're not familiar with web app, or you don't use Office 365, yes, that is one way to move all your folders. You could do 1 by 1, 10 by 10. If you've got a lot of mail, it can become time consuming. But that's as a heads up. And through experience, I've had to do it for some of our clients, and yes, it does take a good while.
Thanks, Chad. The next question is, can you show how to add someone to your contacts? It used to show up in the view where you can enter all the data that shows up from the contact screen, but no longer does. Can you go over this?
Yeah, so under the contacts, which we didn't go over contacts yet, but you can actually click on the contacts tab inside Outlook here. Similar to like creating a folder, you can create a new folder inside your contacts if you want. You can also hit the new contacts if you don't want to create a folder. You can call this person whatever you like, and you can put in their email address. It's going to find that person under your autocomplete. If you remember, I hit Control K earlier, added this as an autocomplete for our suggested contact. We can put in customer care. We can also assign me to a different email address. So I have several. You can hit save and close. Now, I realize this may not answer the question as far as I think what we're asking here is, where are the contacts? Usually they're just right here under the contacts tab. I'm not sure if they're being hidden. What was the question again? I'm sorry. I got into covering this quickly.
Yeah, no, you're fine. Can you show how to add someone to your contacts?
Yeah, so this is just showing you how to add it. You just hit new contact. You hit save and close. I thought you could add more than one email address, but it looks like it's only going to allow me to hit add one. I don't have time to cover it today, but I will quickly just mention this in case any of you might be familiar with it. You can actually create a CSV file, but that CSV file, similar to like QuickBooks, when you're creating CSVs for QuickBooks, have to have certain fields. at the top of the tab there that say certain things like the contact's name, email address, business, phone number. Those all have to be in a certain order. And you can use that CSV file and you can fill it out each contact, or you can export your contact, say from your phone, from iCloud, wherever, and say you want to put it in your email. You can export to CSV and you can import that in. To do so, you go to File, Open and Export, Import Export button here. And you want to import, you can import a vCard. I believe I don't want to misspeak. I believe iCloud either uses a vCard or a CSV. But in this case, I want to do an iCalendar or whatever, a VCS. You can also import from a program, common feed list. Looking for import from another program or file here. When you click next, you can choose either a common separated values or CSV file or a PST. PST files, mostly if you're using like Hotmail, IMAP, and you need to migrate your email over or your contacts over to the same email address, but from a different provider, you can use a PST file. Again, I'm not going to try to go too crazy in depth on that information, but to get a bulk amount of contacts very quickly, you can use a CSV or a PST. Or you can simply just hit one by one, hit new contact, and just start adding in contacts one by one by one. Inside here, you can also change your view. View settings, how big you want it to be, if you want it by alphabetical order, not alphabetical order, by email address, by company. You can get real in depth on how you want to organize it.
Thanks, Chad. A follow-up to that, the gentleman is just saying that if you tried adding a contact from an email you received, it doesn't give the same screen that you just showed. So is there a process that's different if you're pulling it straight from an email?
You can do like that feature I showed earlier with the calendar. You can drag and drop it into your contact. Like if there's a contact in the email and you go back to your inbox here and you want the contact to come in, you can drag it into your contacts. And then it's going to come up with all that person's information that you can simply just hit save and close, where you don't even have to really worry about going through and trying to find that button, fill out the information, or get too crazy. This is an easy way to just get that contact in, and it's faster. If you don't got a lot of time and you need to move on with your day and you just simply want to get that contact in right away, you can do it just like this, and then just hit save and close and move on.
Great, thank you so much. The question is, can you talk a bit about using alias accounts and segregating emails sent to those addresses?
So this is more dealing with Microsoft Exchange or Google for Business. Aliases are accounts that are attached to your main account. This isn't really something inside Outlook. So an alias is, say, for example, an employee has left the company and you don't want to set up a forwarding, but you want to receive their email. You can create that employee's email address as an alias inside your own. And when anybody emails that alias, it will then go to you into your inbox. When you reply, it's going to reply from you because that's an alias. It's not an actual account. It's not Exchange. It's not Google Business account. It's you. There are distribution lists as well. You can create groups of contacts inside Outlook that you want to email. So if you wanted to create a new contact group where you can add a bunch of contacts and then email that group, you can create your own groups. But in Microsoft Exchange, you can create what are called distribution lists. And that's an internal use. So anybody has the same domain name, like for us in our company, it's at ootbtechnology.com. So any of those at ootbtechnology.com users, I can create a distribution list called company at ootbtechnology.com, add myself, Jennifer, or whoever. And then anybody that emails company, that email will then distribute that out to all those users and it'll show up in your inbox. Obviously, when you hit reply, it's going to come from you because it's not attached to you or it's not an actual Exchange account. So when you send it, it's going to be sent from you, not from the distribution list. If you wanted to be able to send from a different email account that isn't your own, that you want people to email to and send from. Say you have a sales account and more than one person needs to see that sales account. When you hit new mail, and let's just say that that sales account's already here, when you hit when you hit from, there'll be a from field up above too. If you hit that from button, it's going to give you the option. Do you want to send from sales or do you want to send from demo? I choose sales, I put in the subject and what I want in that email, and it's going to come from sales. So if you want to email from a different account, you have to actually add that account into your profile. Now they can get way more involved in that. You can actually attach other accounts to email addresses where that account automatically shows up inside Outlook that you can email from it. For IT professionals, if they want to add additional accounts, you can actually get that crazy with it. You can attach that account to another email address. It'll automatically show up in Outlook, but you can reply from it, set up aliases, distribution lists. There's a lot to it, but most of those features deal strictly inside Microsoft Exchange. They're not really Outlook features per se. Yes, you do get the email inside Outlook, but those are things that I would set up inside our Exchange portal.
Thanks, Chad. And just as a little follow-up to that question, he mentions we have one person receiving emails from the alias accounts and would like those segregated so we can tell which alias account they're being received in.
So you can actually set up a rule. We do this as well. So we have an alias inside our email called monitoring, but we don't want it going directly into the inbox because we want to separate our monitoring emails to our inbox so that I can simply go to the folder where those monitoring emails come from. You can set up a rule. If you go to File, Manage Rules, say you want to create a new rule, apply a rule on messages I receive and hit Next. There's a lot of different options in here. You can use a specific word in the body, subject of the body. In this particular case, we want it the sender's address, or the receiver address. And when you choose a specific word of the sender or recipient address, you can check that, click inside here, and then type in that email address you want. So like you were asking for a distribution list, or an alias that you want to separate, you create the folder, you set up the rule, you put in the name of that email address inside the rule here, specific word for the recipient address, hit Add, hit OK. Then we'll add it to the rule, click Next, and where we want to move it to. So we want to move it to a specific folder, specified folder. Say I want it inside my archive folder here. Click Next. It's got other things. So this was the question that somebody had asked earlier about categorizing or flagging them. Inside here, you've got the exceptions list where you can do just that. You can say you want to mark as important, the sensitivity, flag for action, specific words, set up the category. We want it to be for Chad. Click Next. Turn this rule on. So this is our new rule. We hit Finish. And apply. So let's say my email address was an alias attached to this demo account. Anybody that emails Chad at ootbtechnology.com from now on will immediately be sent to the archive and categorized as Chad in orange, letting anybody know that this is assigned to Chad. It's in orange, he can see that, and then myself, and then I have to be priority to that particular email. So if that's something you want to do, rules are a good way of doing that. Rules can get pretty in detail, so if you really want to get in there and dig around and play with those rules, you can. There's really no right or wrong with the rules. Just make sure that when you set one up, you know exactly where you're sending your mail, what categories you have. But again, there's no right or wrong answer when it comes to these rules. What can get crazy with the rules is if you forget where you're sending your mail, you forget what folder you created, or just simply forgot the rule was even there, and thus you're not seeing the email anymore, which has happened. I know that seems kind of crazy, but I've had clients call me and say, I'm not seeing emails from so-and-so anymore. What's going on? Did you break my Outlook? And I'll see that they created a rule, and they'll be like, oh yeah, I forgot about that rule. So just be sure when you set up the rule that you document and remember what you have going on there so that you don't forget that you have that on and where the email is going.
Excellent. Thank you, Chad. Next question while we're in with contacts and emails and whatnot is, what is the best way to send an email to multiple contacts, or can you create a group to always send emails to many people at once?
Yeah, so going back to what I was saying, you can actually go inside your contacts, create a new group, and it would probably be easier to just go ahead and set up all those people as a contact first. For example, we have me in here now. If I wanted Jennifer to be part of my group, I could put her in, and once she's in my contacts, then I can set up a new group. Or I think it's under add members. Member, hit OK. We can call this group whatever you want to name it. I'm just going to name it test. So if you want to name, whatever you want to call your group, you can say importance, whatever you'd like to call it. Save and close. So if I want to email more than one person without using a distribution list, I can then go in and type in, or go back into my inbox, correspond a new email, type in test, and you should find that group. Thus sending it out. It will go to customer care and Jennifer, and she should receive it. Now I have a piece of email sitting right now inside here that is currently waiting to go out. So likely because the outbox is stuck, this email won't go until the other one's out. So I'll have to force send it. Or I'll just clear it out. But anyways, because I had that test email in there from the delay, it's any other email behind it might be delayed. It's not supposed to, but this is a brand new account, so there might still be some glitching going behind the scenes here from the setup, but it's not supposed to delay and not send out any other email. Any delayed mail should stay in the outbox, and then any new mail you send should prioritize over that and then get sent out. But anyways, the question was about the group. So I create the group, set up these two folks in my contacts, then go in and set up a group, add those two people that are in my contacts to the group, go back in, hit new mail, type in the test name or the group name, and then whatever you want to call that email. Again, you just go to two. This is our global address list, which you can use. If you're part of an organization with a global address, this is a good tool or way to find people that you need to be able to send email to. You simply go through your global address, find the person that you need, and send it off. Or you can go into your to field and then find your group that way, or recent people, or just type it in and send it off. Again, that is a way to send it out to a group without using a distribution list. I think we have time for at least one more question.
Yeah, let's take one more. The question is, how do you use the to-do list aspect of Outlook?
Okay, so the to-do list. So inside to-do, I'm trying to recall, I do have that. That was one thing I was going to mention. 1 second. So if you want to add, say, for example, a task, you can add the task menu on the right-hand side here. The purpose for the to-do list is if you wanted to add a new task. Me personally, I'm going to use my calendar. If I've got something coming up, I'm going to put it in my calendar. But say you don't want to get pinged with a bunch of notifications. You just simply want to have it where you can see it at all times. The to-do list is just there for your viewing so that you can see that it's always there and it's constantly reminding you. If you have it in your calendar, sometimes you might forget about it or you don't see that it's there. And obviously you're going to get notifications, and most of us always remember our calendar items, but the to-do list is more of, you know, I got to go to the doctor's appointment. I got to pick up my kiddo from school. I got a meeting at 2 o'clock, even though it's already in my calendar, it's a constant reminder. You can create a to-do list, end it to the new task. It's flagged, it's there, and you can also categorize your to-do. This was something that we used to use internally as well. If we had a ticket and a ticket number would come in, I would create a task to that ticket number. Say the ticket number was 95501. I'd hit enter, flag it, go in and categorize it to myself. And then I could edit the flag to set up a reminder. Remind me today at 1 o'clock to follow up with that ticket number. So that's a good way, if you don't want to create a calendar item inside your to-do list, to go back and get a reminder or get that constant update on what's happening there. And that'll it's just kind of in your face so that you can see that it's there ready to go whenever you need to get back to it. If you're really busy during the day, that is a great tool to use. Again, I'm not one that will use that quite often. Again, we're in shared emails, so a lot of us are doing things manually for each other. But if you're just one person trying to do all of that on your own, the to-do list is a great way to set up tasks to allow you to have constant reminders on things that you've got going on throughout your day. So I think that covers most everything we were going to do today. I think we're running out of time. But before I go, I want to thank Jennifer for inviting me today to go over Outlook. I want to thank all the users sticking me out. I know I can get winded sometimes on some of this stuff, so I appreciate you staying tuned with me. Hopefully some folks learned something new today if you're not a seasoned Outlook user. And if you're somebody that's used Outlook quite often, hopefully it was a good refresher. I will turn it back over to Jennifer. Again, thank you.
Thank you so much, Chad. Yeah, I mean, I've used Outlook for years and years and years, and I think every time you and I have a conversation, I learn something new. So hopefully everyone else on the line did as well. And thank you for taking all of the questions. It was really, really a great presentation. I think a couple of topics came up that we can probably dive into deeper on a future Technology Tuesday, as you had mentioned. So those of you on the line or viewing on demand, stay tuned to our schedule to see what we have coming up when an Outlook presentation comes up again. So I'm going to take the screen back, and speaking of future sessions, go ahead and show the schedule for our upcoming Technology Tuesdays. We will be back on October 9th when we welcome Veeam for a presentation. Veeam was a fellow top 10 new app from Intuit back in 2017 with us, and they have some great solutions for payments. ACH payments, I think it is what they focus on. But then we have Avalara back with us going over sales tax compliance and a few more going into the end of the year, including Recur 360, some new features that we will be going over and demoing. So make sure to check those out. Again, all of our Technology Tuesdays are completely free. We'd love to have you join us again soon. They all are recorded and posted to our website. So if you missed one, if you need to go back and relearn what Chad went over or revisit anything, please do check those out on demand. You'll receive an email in about an hour or so with a link directing you straight to that page so that you can check out what we've done over the last couple of months with Technology Tuesdays and go ahead and register for upcoming sessions. If you have an idea for an upcoming session, if there's a topic that you really want us to focus on, or if you've used an app that you just think is great and really should be featured, let me know. Get in touch with me, Jennifer at ootvtechnology.com, or just reply to the follow-up email that you got through GoToWebinar later today. Let us know, or like I said, as we do another Outlook session in the next couple of months here, if there's something you want us to focus on, let us know. We'd love to hear from you and tailor it to what you guys are really looking for. So thanks again to everyone who joined us today. Chad, thank you for your insight, and we hope to see you again soon.